Well, it's official. The Trump administration has now ordered the Treasury Secretary to end production of the U.S. penny. This means 1 cent is going away. But what does this mean for you? Does this mean that we are no longer going to see the penny? Does this mean we are no longer going to be charged $6.99 for something? No. I want to explain what's happening. I'll explain in just a moment, but understand, when we eliminate the production of the penny, this is going to take years to actually see the penny just vanish off the face of the earth. So I'm going to break down what's going on in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So yes, it is official that President Trump is taking aim at the wasteful government spending by ordering the end to penny production. But what does this mean for you and I? Well, let's look at some facts first. This is an article from CNBC. It says what the end of the penny means for the economy, your piggy bank, and the way America prices items. Well, look at this. It says President Donald Trump ordered the U.S. Treasury to stop minting pennies. It says that came after Elon Musk and Doge made the coin a focus of negative attention for wasteful spending. Look at these numbers really quick. It says there are currently 114 billion pennies in circulation, or $1.14 billion, which is equivalent to 0.006% of the U.S. money. Economists say the impact should be minimal if we eliminate the penny, and it could take decades for the currency to truly disappear, but it's not wholly without potential inflationary and pricing changes. What does this mean? Well, first off, you need to understand what Donald Trump said on Truth Social. He says, for far too long, the United States has minted pennies, which literally cost us more than 2 cents. He was actually wrong there, and I'll explain why in a moment. It goes on to say, I have instructed my Secretary of the U.S. Treasury to stop producing new pennies. Now, what do I mean by Donald Trump was wrong by it cost more than 2 cents to actually produce? The truth of the matter is this. It actually costs the United States government 3.69 cents to produce 1 penny. Look at this right here. This right here is $1 or 100 pennies. Okay, right here, rolled up. This actually does not cost $1. Okay, for $1 worth of value, it costs the United States $3.69 to manufacture this. That's a problem. That means the majority of the money that we are spending is wasted. It's not coming back. There's no value to it. But I want to read you a couple things. Look at this right here. It says it costs the United States $192 million a year to produce pennies, about 4% of the mint's operating budget, but only 0.00003% of the U.S. federal budget. It doesn't matter if this is a large part of the budget or not. We are still wasting $192 million a year to produce pennies that very few people actually use. Here's some of the problems, though, okay? And I'm going to get to this in a moment, but first, I want you to listen to what Kevin O'Leary had to say on Fox Business. This is what he said this morning. Listen to this.
The penny, the United States penny, Donald Trump wants to eliminate it, stop mining. He says it does cost 2 cents for every penny that you make, so it doesn't seem to make any sense. What do you make of all this, getting rid of the penny?
Well, he's right. It's stupid. Why would you pay 2 cents for a commodity that's worth 1? Who uses a penny anyways, unless you're putting them in your loafers? And nobody does that anymore. Get rid of it. It's useless.
So there you go. He says it's stupid. Nobody uses the penny anymore. And let me ask you this. When was the last time that you paid with pennies? I'm not talking about 50 cents. I'm talking about when was the last time that you went to a store, and let's say the price was $7.67. How many times did you pull out $8 versus how many times did you pull out $7 and then 67 cents? 2 quarters, 1 dime, 1 nickel, 2 pennies. How many times did you do that? My guess is it's very little. Here's what you need to understand. Okay? These are how things are going to change. It's going to round up prices, okay? It just will. That's what we're already expecting. Prices are going to have to change. So if an item comes out to $6.99, okay, just keep in mind. Let's say it's a food-related item. Let's say you don't have to pay any type of sales tax on this. It's $6.99. You're going to pay $7. But the store is not going to give you a penny back. It's just going to be rounded up to $7. Let's say it's $6.96. The same thing, the item will likely be $7. So you will only have to pay $6.96 if you are paying with a card. But if you're paying with cash, even if you have pennies, these pennies will be no longer in existence. Stores don't want them, okay? They just don't want them. Listen to this. It says if business rounded up and not down, then paying in cash would actually cost more money. But if you pay with a card, then you would get a little bit of savings. This would actually entice people to pay with a card versus cash. I've said this before. We are seeing, and this isn't just during the Trump administration. It's only been a few weeks. This is during the previous administrations as well. We are seeing a move away from cash towards cards. That's what we're seeing. And again, I'm saying this because we are also seeing stores not accepting $100 bills and 50s because they're worried about, theft and fraud. We're also seeing stores not accept, any bill that has too many creases, that is wet, that has too many rips or tears, or is missing multiple corners. It has too many marks, too many folds in it. They're not accepting them. They're telling you, go take that to a bank. They will change it or exchange it for you, and then you can bring that dollar bill back or that $100 bill. But we're not accepting any ripped bills. Yeah, that's what we're seeing. Look at this. It says businesses might round up more often than down, leading to a slight inflationary effect. However, it's going to be minimal. But keep in mind, Canada's already done this. It says in Canada, which eliminated the penny in 2013, cash transactions were rounded to the nearest 5 cents based on the total amount of the transaction, not on each individual item. That's another big one as well. Because if every single item is, let's say, $6.96, okay, all the stores purposely put it at 96 cents versus 99 because it looks a little bit better. Well, if that's rounded to the up to the nearest 5 cents, that's a little bit of a problem. But again, what if it's rounded to the nearest 5 cents? So if it goes $6.97, right? Does that go down or does that go up? Because it's right in the middle. But what if it's $6.96? Okay? $6.97 or 8 or 9 cents, right? This is the big deal. Okay? This is why it's such a big deal. Because how do you change that? How do you go for that? Well, this is what many people are discussing. Look at this. It says America's remaining cash consumers get hit. This is who it's going to impact the most. It says Patel points out that eliminating the penny would only eliminate the penny itself, not necessarily something that costs $5.16. Anyone writing a check or using a debit card or credit card could have the correct amount paid since no actual cash changes hands. And pennies would not have to be paid to the buyer or returned by the seller. It says there are still people who use cash for payments, and these consumers would be the most impacted. It says as recently as 2015, 1/3 of transactions in the United States were by cash, but that has now fallen to under 20% and is expected to continue on the decline. So in 2015, we saw that 33% of transactions in the United States were done by cash. So in the last 9 years, 10 years technically, it's gone from 33% to 20%. The expectation is that the amount of cash payments in the United States by 2030 is going to be less than 10%. Less than 10% in the next 5 years. That's huge. So, what does this mean for the almighty penny? Well, this is we're likely going to see the end of it. Now, according to reports, President Trump cannot just say, no, we're not going to produce any pennies because we're likely to see a shortage of pennies here in the near future. because there is no law that bans pennies from being used. So stores would still have to collect them and do all that. But if we move away from the penny, potentially save, right, the amount of money that we're spending to produce a penny, a tune of $192 million per year, that's a massive amount of money. That could be used for so many other things. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this again is because what lawmakers are looking at is how fair is this? Because this is going to hurt homeless people. This is going to hurt the unbanked. But if we save $192 million per year, could we actually find a way to entice people to open up a banking account? Could we entice the unbanked, okay, to go and open up a bank account? Where does the federal government put in $5, $10 in it to ensure that every single person has one? That if we ever need to send out a direct deposit, we can do that. If we ever need to ensure that there's another stimulus check coming out, that we can send it directly to every single U.S. Citizen's bank account, we could do that. But again, every single person has to have an account. So I just want to share this with you because as of right now, it seems like President Trump is ready to eliminate the U.S. penny, because this is just another way to save more money. Again, it's not about saving $100 billion or $1 trillion per year. It's about going after all the little things, because all the little things are going to add up. You're going to save a penny here, penny there, a nickel here, 100 there, a million there, a billion there, a trillion there. That's going to add to a massive amount of money. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.